analyst on Latin America and the director of Latinform. He's joining us from Manchester in the UK. Colin, good to speak with you again, sir. Thanks for being here on the News Hour. So, first of all, let's just deal with this arrest. Just how much of a dent, potentially, in the drugs trade is this going to be?
Well, that remains to be seen, but the claim that President Duque and the National Police Chief, General Vargas, are making that this is the end of the Gulf Clan is understandable, perhaps, but probably exaggerated. It's a big organization. It's well structured. It has a hierarchical setup, and some experts are predicting that there'll be a smooth transition, that the next in line will take over without a struggle for control. It is, of course, possible that there will be conflict within the organization, and certainly with other organizations, particularly the dissidents from the left-wing guerrillas known as the FARC, who are still involved in the drug trade. They may see this as an opportunity now that Antonio Usuga has been captured. But the organization will go on. It's diversified. It's well organized, and it's not going to go away.
I mean, often when these kind of big arrests happen, cynics kind of look at it as a bit of a hydra. You cut off the head of one and then 3 or 4 grow back in its place. And after 50 years of a brutal war on drugs, isn't it perhaps time for a new strategy with dealing with this sort of thing?
Well, of course, there are a lot of people, experts among them, and particularly health experts, who believe that there should be legalization. And of course, marijuana has been legalized in a number of places, and there are legal uses for cocaine, but it's not a generally accepted belief. And President Duque, the right-wing president of Colombia, he's not about to go down that road. And of course, the Americans have invested something like $11 billion in their war on drugs, and they want to see a return for that. So I think a sharp reversal of approach is pretty unlikely at this stage.
Well, perhaps not a legalization then, but is there there must have been thought given to trying to make sure these subsistence coca farmers can have a different kind of economic outlook that doesn't mean they're growing the raw material for a drug?
Well, as has been pointed out many times, that there have been, of course, efforts to wean them off coca growing, either by eradication of the crops, whether they like it or not, and the help with growing alternatives like avocados, bananas, and all sorts of agricultural produce. But as they say, or they tend to say, that none of them are anywhere near as profitable as growing coca leaves. The main problem, it doesn't matter how much the government tries to help with, improved seeds and technical advice and so on. The main problem is marketing. The communications are poor, and the marketing structures are underdeveloped, and people in remote rural areas can't get their produce to market for anything like a living income. So they tend to opt for coca. And the removal of the FARC, of the left-wing guerrillas, from the field in recent years, they were very much involved in drugs, and that's actually increased this tendency, because now that the left-wing guerrillas aren't there, the small coca growers think there's an opportunity for them to expand their growing, and of course they can also process the leaves to some extent and increase their value. So it's a well-organized business, and for the people on the ground, and these people tend to be in remote rural areas, it's the best alternative.
Yeah, and dealing with it in Colombia won't stop the problem, because of course Peru, Bolivia, other nations in the area produce the drug as well. But they don't have to look very far, I guess, to Uruguay to see a different way of dealing with the drugs issue that has a slightly more liberal approach to drug laws, doesn't it, Colin?
It does indeed, yes, and of course they're experimenting with legalization and so on. But of course Uruguay is a very long way away in a very small country, and they don't produce cocaine or heroin. Of course, it is possible to, and there are people in producing countries that believe that a different approach ought to be adopted, but governments have to be persuaded, and it's not happening at the moment.
No, it's not. Okay, Colin Harding from Latinform, good to speak with you again, sir. Appreciate your time. Thank you.